Hello students, welcome to the second lecture of object-oriented programming in Python. So in this lecture we are going to discuss features of object-oriented programming language. So Python supports various types of features and programming styles. One of the popular approaches object-oriented programming. In object-oriented programming, you will design a class which will simulate real-world things and their behavior. Class binds things and their appropriate behavior together. So there are 10 features of object-oriented programming. The first feature is class. The second feature is object, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, encapsulation, method and message passing, containership, reusability and delegation. So a class is a class is logical entity, blueprint or template. Object is real world entity, instance of class having identity and behavior. Inheritance is nothing but one class acquires property of another class, which is known as base class and subclass. Polymorphism is same name but multiple forms, or we can say same method with many forms. Abstraction is show only essential details and hiding the background details or hiding the complexity of the code. Encapsulation is packing up of data and function into a single unit, or we can say wrapping up of data and function into a single unit is encapsulation. Method passing and method and message passing is object communicates via message passing. Okay, containership is nothing but class contains other objects as the data member is known as containership. Reusability is when we reuse our code in the same class and in the another class, it is known as reusability. Delegation is one object depends on another object for its functionality. So now let's discuss each feature of object oriented programming in detail. So firstly we'll discuss class. So a class is used to describe something in the world. So a class is a collection of similar type of objects. A class is a blueprint for the object. A class provides templates or blueprints that describes the structure and behavior of set of similar objects. In other words, we can say a class is grouping of objects that have identical properties, common behavior and shared relationship. Okay. The entire group of data and code of an object can be built as user defined data type using class. Objects are nothing but variables of type class. So objects are variable defined inside the class, or it is a type class variable we can say. Okay. Once a class has been declared, the programmer can create any number of object associated with that class. So a class is a combination of object and class are the combination of each other. Once we define a class, we have to call the function and data members of a class by using object. A class is basically collection of data member and member function. Data member is nothing but the variables we declare inside the class, and member function is nothing but the functions we define inside the class. For example, we have taken an example here that we have taken a class students. It has attributes, or we can say it has variables like roll number, name, course and aggregate. So these are the variables we are going to define inside this student class, and the operations we are going to perform on this data is get data, set data and edit data. So these are the member functions which use that data members to perform various operations onto the data members. Okay. So data and set of operations are applicable to all students. Okay. That is object of the class. So how we are going to access this data and the operation performed on those data is by using object of that class. Okay. So next, let's discuss what is object. So objects are the primary runtime entity in the object oriented programming, or we can say that everything which exists in this real world and has a unique identity, you can call it an object. Okay. They may stand for a thing or any data item that makes sense in the scientific or specific application. Python is a multi-programming language, which means it supports different programming approach. One of the popular approach to solve a programming problem is by creating objects. Okay, so whenever we want to solve any problem or a large problem, we use it by using by creating objects. So the object has two different categories or characteristics. The first characteristics is attribute and the another characteristics is behavior. It contains all variables and methods together. Whenever we perform anything or program, objects must be selected like the items evaluated or evaluated to actual or real world. Okay, so basically objects occupy space in memory. In the other sense, we can also say this, that whenever we are, everything in Python is an object. Okay, so you can easily say this, whatever we do in Python is an object. And almost everything has attributes and methods in Python. Okay, for example, telephone, book, computer, etc. can be an object, which mean anything that in this real world that has unique identity is known as object. So we have taken one example. If a student is a class, then all 67 students in a course, and all are the objects of students class. So if I've created a class student, and there are 67 students in a single course, so all the 67 students are known as the object of that student class. Okay, so the next thing is inheritance. So inheritance is basically, it provides reusability. It is a very important feature of object oriented programming. So in object oriented programming, inheritance is just like real world inheritance. Inheritance is a way of creating a new class by using the attributes or details of the existing class without modifying it. Inheritance is the process of deriving a new class from the base class, and which is also known as the derived class. Okay, so Python allows its programmer to create a new class that reuse the pre-written code. So this functionality is known as inheritance, and this is the very important feature of Python, and it clearly provides the concept of reusability. So in object oriented programming, inheritance provides the thought of reusability, which means that programmer can add new properties to the existing class without changing it. Okay, so this is the very major and basic, you can say, feature of inheritance. So the derived class are created by first inheriting the data and methods of the base class, and then adding the new specialized data and function into it. Inheritance uses is a type of relationship. This is the basic syntax of inheritance. So the class, here you need to define the derived class name, and here in the brackets you need to define the base class from which you are inheriting the property of property and methods. Okay, so there are basically four types of inheritance in object oriented programming: single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, and hierarchical inheritance. So single inheritance, which means that there would be only one base class and one derived class. Multi-level inheritance would be means there would be one derived class and another sub-derived class from the derived class. And there is a hierarchical inheritance in which there would be only one base class, and there are multiple derived class from that base class. And multiple inheritance is multiple base classes and one derived class. The next thing is polymorphism. So basically, polymorphism is based on the Greek two words, poly and morphism. So where poly means many and morphism means multiple forms. By polymorphism, we can understand that one task can be performed in different ways. For example, suppose you have a class animal, and all animals speak, but they speak differently. So where the behavior is speak, where they speak is the behavior and depends on that animal, it means the method behave differently for different inputs. So this is something which is called the polymorphism, which means one name and multiple forms. So in programming, polymorphism, same function name but different signatures being users of different types. There are basically two types of polymorphism: compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. So compile time polymorphism has another two categories: operator overloading and function overloading. And runtime polymorphism support method overriding. Okay, so operator method overriding and overloading are two different ways of defining polymorphism. Method overloading means same method but different parameters or different behaviors or different signatures, but method overriding means same method and same parameters. Okay, so the next feature of polymorphism is reusability. we can say reusability is nothing but whenever you want to reuse the code again and again, so that is the biggest feature of Python. So till now we have seen that there are these are the 5-6 major features of Python. Now we'll discuss reusability. Object oriented technology allows reusability of the class. So let's go back to the main menu. So okay, there are more. Wait. Oh yeah, encapsulation. So what do you mean by encapsulations? Encapsulation is nothing but wrapping up of data and function into a single unit is known as encapsulation. It is also known as data hiding. So wrapping up of data and function into a single unit, so that single unit is nothing but the class, because we wrap the data and function inside the class only. In this, data is not reachable outside function. Only those functions that are able to access the data are defined within the class. So these functions prepare the interface between the object and data and the program. So this is nothing but the data encapsulation. You can restrict access to methods and variable. This can prevent the data from being modified by accident and is known as encapsulation. So basically encapsulation restrict access to methods and variables. Okay. So the next thing is data abstraction. So in object-oriented programming, we can access data differently. Some data can be public, some data can be private. So the data which is public, which means it can be accessed and modified by anyone. So also there can be some data which is not available for everyone. So that is nothing but you can say the thing of data abstraction. So in data abstraction, we hide the complexity. We show only essential features and hide the complexity of the program. Data abstraction refers to the process by which data and functions are defined in such a way that only essential details are represented and the implementation details are hidden. The main focus of data abstraction is to separate the interface and the implementation of the program. Data abstraction is used to define a data type available in the programming language called abstract data type. It consists of a set of values and a set of properties. So this is how we have seen the data abstraction. An abstract class is a class that generally provides incomplete functionality and contains one or more abstract methods. Okay, so let's discuss the reusability feature. So in object oriented technology allows reusability of the classes by using inheritance, as I told you before. It is one of the most important application of object oriented programming. A code in a class or a function can be reused by inheritance in method overriding. Okay, so this is how we perform reusability and different thing. The next thing is containership. It is the ability of a class to contain object of one or more classes as data member. Here object of a class can be a part of another class. Also there can be a class within the class. Okay, so this is how we define containership. Delegation is to provide maximum flexibility to programmers and allow them to generate a reusable code. Object oriented language supports delegation. Delegation means that one object is dependent on another object to provide various functionalities to the language. So this is it, guys. Thank you so much. In the next lecture we will discuss object and classes in detail. Thank you.